Men who were raised by abusive mothers, how has it affected your relationships with women? It is extremely hard to trust. My mother wasn't classically abusive, but she was neglectful emotionally, and I learned later that she was using me as a sort of surrogate partner. This led me to not be able to say no to women or stand up for myself against them. With this knowledge, I now know how to stand up for myself. This has limited my options dating, as previously attracted women who would partner with me due to my low self-esteem and eventually become emotionally abusive and distant. However, I'm pumped to finally meet an emotionally stable woman, as I'm truly a new man. I still yearn for the attention I was never given as a child, so I'm still latently needy. I've just decided to build myself up as much as I can so I can be the rock in my next relationship, instead of getting rocks thrown at me for being such a passive partner. Pair an abusive mother with an alcoholic, emotionless father, and what do you get? A son who literally can't trust the intentions of a single person on the planet, and who deals with intense emotional pain daily because he literally struggles to keep contact with any human being outside of work. My mother is a classic narcissist. She fucked me up beyond belief. Now I realize that I kept searching in women for the love that she never gave me. This year I had my biggest breakthrough by cutting a 12 years friendship from college, because it kept me in the past pouring myself and letting myself be a punching bag for her emotionally. I was her best friend because she didn't have to be a good friend back to me. She knew I will always be there. Funny thing is that all my relationships with women came when for some reason or another I tried to stay far away from her, but she always knew how to get me back, saying the right things. Because of my neglect as a child, I kept falling for it. Try to identify the patterns that keep repeating through your life and you will find the places to make cuts and better yourself. My mother was twofold. She demanded perfection and she wanted to protect me from everything and potentially everyone. I have it firmly in my mind that women crave perfection in their partners, or at least only the best. I know I'm not the best, so that leads me to not even try. Combine that with innate and cultured introversion and shyness, I really suck at dating and starting conversations with women. I grew up with a bipolar mother who decided I would be the parent at 13 years old. It royally screwed me up. When I met my now wife, things moved quickly. We had a 1-week-old son on the 1-year anniversary of meeting, and I struggled to handle basic relationship moments without either coming across as a complete asshole or a complete child. It took a lot of therapy and patience from my wife to get through it and become a healthy adult. 13 years later we are stronger than ever, but I haven't spoken to my mother in 8 years, and that has been the biggest help. My mom's not abusive, but she has made a habit of being controlling, demanding, playing the victim and not respecting boundaries. My first and only partner had all of these traits that I thought were normal and usual for a partner to have. She would give me the silent treatment, play the victim when I got upset, demand perfection from me or else. Strangely, this hasn't happened with women friends. My friends are the chillest, coolest, non-abusive girls LVE ever met. They're the best. I am, however, terrified of marrying someone and her becoming like my mother. Legit terrified, and I feel like that's going to be a fear of mine for a long time. I'm nearly 23 and haven't bothered dating. I believe I'm at least an average solid dude. I could find a cool girlfriend if I wanted, but the possibility of potentially being misled/manipulated by someone like my mother has turned me off dating. I aim to give it a shot this year, so I hope it turns out well. I was afraid of women for a long time and also had negative views on men and therefore on myself as well. Because I was fighting with low self-esteem and always felt like a piece of shit, I never had the guts to approach a woman. They had to approach me instead and take the initiative, at least in the beginning. I had a few relationships, but most of them were short-lived and not enjoyable at all. Not sure if I fit the mold here exactly. But anyways, I had a mother that was around for the first 6 years of my life. She started an affair and also had several other dark sides which were instrumental in my parents getting a divorce. Once my dad won full custody, she technically came and stole me, and we were on the run for several months across the states, staying with various lovers of hers and random hotels. We eventually got picked up by private investigators and CPS took me back to my dad's custody. There were 2 phone calls from her right after that incident, then they stopped and I never heard or saw from her again. Found out that she passed away when I was 18. The way that has affected my relationships with women, I definitely have a hard time going from the casually dating phase to a more serious emotional relationship. I'm the opposite of guys who will get clingy and jealous, push away and get distant. I have a real hard time opening up to people because of pretty much going through most of my life not having anyone to talk to about things. My experience with my mom definitely gave me trust issues, with people in general. I've had some women be understanding of why I am the way I am, but some others just completely write me off as damaged goods. It takes a long time for me to truly trust someone, so I'll take things very slow compared to most people. Some women are very turned off by that and think I'm playing them, but in reality that couldn't be further from the truth. Emotionally abusive, narcissist single mother, who have told me that she wanted a daughter, used male as a slur, and I could never tell what kind of a reaction my actions would attract. I now have major trust issues. I'm not very well connected socially. I'm 26 and never have had a guy friend, and I'm hesitant to ask for help in most cases because I'll expect the worst from any interaction. I'm usually surprised at how well people treat me, but I feel like they are tolerating me out of pity really. She did the best she could, but her best was really bad NGL. Oh, and I'm fat, because she associated desserts with class, and always kept them handy. How can you dissuade me when stuffing sweets onto my mouth hole is the happiest moment of my day? I'm correcting all of the issues I can see, but it's kind of hard. But I'll do it. Hard is why it's worth doing. Beginner NG in this stupid game is insane. It's mostly been okay, but I've done a lot of work on myself over the years, on top of therapy. It doesn't affect my relationship with women too much, unless they try to tell me what to do, or mommy me. Then we have a problem. I'm spent the first 21 years of my life looking for women in their 40s and 50s to be that mother figure. While it was not the answer to the problem, many older women who appeared in my life in those years gave me a piece of mother and I was able to have some sort of mothering. Then depression hit me hard. I realized that it wasn't normal. Why wasn't looking for girls in my age range? Went to therapy for a few years. I'm much better now. Still, I have big trust issues in intimate relationships. A part of me still believes that I am fundamentally flawed somehow, and it's a matter of time until the other person realizes and leaves us. I have no trust in women at 39 years old. My mother was abusive physically and mentally. I was married and now divorced because I pushed her away. I have been in counseling for the last 10 years, tried everything. I just can't find trust in any woman. I don't like it, but it all stems from my abuse. I didn't have an abusive mother, but she had a history of being unfaithful to my father. She'd drop "I love you" even if it meant having bills paid and food put on the table. This is around the time when my parents split, but the divorce wasn't finalized until years later. Seeing men come and go in my life definitely altered my views on men, women, and the overall dynamic of what relationships should be versus what you make them. I didn't have any great role models growing up either, so I'm sure that played a role in things. I wasn't abused, but I definitely suffered from attachment issues growing up. It's definitely affected the way I interacted with women over the years. I am very guilty of pushing people away, driving women away, and just coming on too strongy. I'm currently in therapy working through these issues and trying to understand my own psychology. I'm not a bad guy, I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I yearned for friendships and physical intimacy along the way too, of course. I understand that I'm at fault due to my falling out with women, but I'm trying to be better. A better man. A better human being. I want to attract the right people in my life. I've been working on myself physically, mentally, emotionally as well as spiritually with the help of my therapist, who just so happens to be a woman in her 40s. Things are great and we are slowly making progress. I still try to make myself pleasant to be around, but women generally don't like me and I have extremely low faith they'll ever like me as more than an acquaintance or a co-worker. My mother was every kind of abusive growing up. I never went to therapy for all the abuse I endured from her. It wasn't until I was 23 that I cut off contact with her. I have a really hard time saying no to women and tend to do what I can to avoid conflict. I have a hard time expressing emotions as well. Dad has always been emotionally distant. I also tend to emotionally disconnect from women involuntarily and have lots of guilt about that. Non-stop screaming and negativity. High as fuck standards that I could never reach. I would wipe down and mop the entire kitchen and she would find some dust or dirt and say that I never do anything right. Guilt tripping me all the time. Me getting worse punishments than my sisters for the exact same shit. Being told to keep my hands to myself seems reasonable until I got my sisters throwing wooden toys at me and punching me, but I can't even defend myself or else I would get hit and punished. I was told walk away. Fucking how? You told me to watch them so I can't go outside and they keep following me while punching me so I can't walk away. You then say just take the hits. WTF, fuck you. Then you have my relationships. Was used and cheated on twice, which caused my third relationship I got into with one of my friends who really liked so much to get ruined cause I was too scared that she was using me like the others and that I had no confidence in myself at all. I still wonder what that relationship could have turned out like if I hadn't fucked it up. So all this has caused me to hold no confidence in myself, depression, fear of my mother, scared of dating again and avoidance of women. Was physically and mentally abused most days from about 4 to 10 years old and my father was mostly absent. I cried most nights, so much so that it affected my sleep and didn't stop bedwetting until after most of my peers. It made me question what it meant to grow into a solid person and if I could have stable relationships. Till this day I have trouble accepting praise and question the intentions of genuinely nice people, especially from women. I used to have more trouble with self-worth, but looking back I did well even when I was in that situation and wasn't even near as aesthetically challenged as thought I was. I can sometimes come off as cold to women who I know are attracted to me, because I want to scare them off in a way because I don't feel like I'm worth their time and effort. I know this isn't the best way of dealing with things and have damaged friendships/relationships this. A lot of the time days are harder to get through, but I've been working on myself and my studies consistently for the past few years and have some goals that I've wanted to reach and am getting close to achieving. I honestly don't believe that I'm good enough to have a relationship. Like, I can be friends with women, but the second things progress beyond friendship, I get nervous. I start to think that I'm somehow unintentionally manipulating them into thinking I'm someone that I am and not. I also have trouble with knowing when I'm being hit on, according to my friends. Part of that is just that I'm a dense idiot, but it's also that I don't believe anyone could possibly find me attractive enough 3HIT on. And even if they did, once they got to know me, they see what a piece of garbage I am and leave. I'm in therapy, but I haven't brought this up much. Whenever I do, my therapist seems to just brush it off and say that I have other things to work on before I should even consider a relationship. I was raised by a narcissistic mom in a divorced household. My narcissistic dad left my life when I was 14. Just a little background for you op. My mom was bad. Even though she never physically hit me, she emotionally and mentally abused me all of my life till cut contact with her. She made it hard for me to talk to women. She made it impossible for me to be honest. She treated me like a second husband when convenient. I can't have a normal conversation with women when we reach a conflict. I've noticed this when my sil the first time we had a little spat, she wanted to talk it out rationally like an adult and I was getting ready to yell at her and defend myself in anger. She also made me good at shifting blame. The list goes on, but this is off the top of my head. Oh, and she could have killed me due to negligence. My abuse was minor compared to most, and my mother was a mixed bag of love and abuse. I have great relationships with women, majority of my friends are women, and we get along very well. Oh man, LVE been waiting for a thread like this to show up. I didn't really date any women because I knew LRD just push away so they wouldn't have to deal with her. Were it not for multiple female relatives that actually cared about me, I think I would have developed a terrible relationship with women. They showed me that not all women are out to get you. I recently begun to suspect that my birth giver is narcissistic. I'm autistic and she used that as an excuse to try and stop me from being independent and living my own life. She wanted me to feel like as much of a burden as humanly possible and even called me worthless at one point. Thankfully, I no longer live under her heel, and am working on cutting her out of my life and becoming more independent.